Valentine's Day may be over, but that doesn't mean I have to stop eating large amount of chocolates and vicariously living my love life through soulless dating sims. One genre of games I always feel ashamed to admit I like are dating sims. Specifically dating sims presented in the form of a visual novel. Don't get me wrong, I love these games as much as any other, but expressing so is a bit awkward. Like, how do I tell someone I'm playing a game where I'm emotionally invested in dating various anime waifus? It's just legitimately, actually cringe. I'm sorry, it is. I'll be damned if that stops me from playing them though. If I can be brutally truthful here without at all being judged for my life choices here, these games tend to be pretty well executed if we're being fair. These games rarely include any gameplay elements that are new, engaging, or any gameplay at all for that matter, but these games almost exclusively all live or die based on the dialogue and their ability to make you care about the characters within the game. We're basically reading the fanciest books known to exist. These words better have some gosh darn meaning. A lot of the games I've played to the extent where I'd call myself a fan of the game or series that fall into the dating sim, visual novel sort of category tend to have really fun, unique locations, interesting characters, and writing that reels you in, leaving you wanting more. Now, if you take all those ideas I just listed off, the cool locations, likable characters, and excellent writing, and slap that to anything else, it's cool, you want that. Then when you try and put that on dating a video game character, it just makes you a giant loser. The stigma is real, folks. Well, today I'm outing myself as a total dweeb for a game that I think is well deserving of being part of the Mount Rushmore of visual novel dating sims. Welcome in, Hustle Cat. Talk about happy accidents, this game sure surprised me when I finally got around to playing it years ago. To no surprise, it was another random game in another random bundle I got off Humble Bundle. Back when those things were really good. They sure don't make them like they used to, eh? Anyways, I knew nothing about the game at the time aside from it looked relatively intriguing, featured a couple cute kitties, and that I had no clue what to expect from a game called Hustle Cat. Are these cats some young hustlers? No, it couldn't be. I'm fine with playing as some rambunctious, over-the-top cats only if we won't be entering some sort of Fritz the Cat territory down the line, and that's all I gotta say. Hustle Cat was developed and published by the team of Date Naito. Interesting to note, this is the first and only game they've put on Steam, but the fourth game the team has made, and unfortunately, most likely their last. Hustle Cat was released March 16th, 2016, and released on PC and Mac, and can be purchased on itch.io and Steam, like I said 10 seconds ago. Looking over the other games they have listed on their site, I haven't tried any of them, but if they're 1/10 as good as Hustle Cat is, I definitely wouldn't mind giving them a try in the future. Well, as you should be able to tell from my intro, we don't play as some tough-nosed, hostile cats. This is a dating sim. There's only room for love, and only the purest forms of love as we try to win over some potential partners while working at a cat cafe. How cute. Now, this is where I have to finally disclose that because this is such a heavily story-driven game, that there are going to be massive spoilers incoming, probably total complete spoilers too, if I'm being honest. So please, I highly encourage you, if the genre, art, premise, anything I've shown off so far looks interesting or fun to you, give it a go instead of watching this video. I always prefer to have someone experience an awesome game firsthand rather than have it explained why it's good by someone else. But you're past the point of no return now, there's no going back. Upon starting up the story, we finished the resume of one Avery Gray, aka us. Name, can't change that. Pronouns, damn, that's pretty cool. Don't see that as often as I'd like. High fives for normalizing things that should just already be normal anyway. I like the address, degree, and skills section. It's scary how applicable this is for any time during your life in the oh so wonderful time period of the 21st century. Only things we can change here are our pronouns and how we physically look during the game, which basically amounts to hair length and skin tone, but whatever. At least we got some options. Sadly, Avery is your stereotypical post-education student, stuck like a stick in the mud in the game of life. With no clear direction on what or where they should take their life, they're caught bouncing around from one odd job to the next and living off their aunt's couch in the living room. Turns out, Avery's in a new city they're not familiar with whatsoever. In hopes that a change of scenery could kickstart some motivation, Avery convinced their mom and dad to live with their aunt until they're able to find a new job that allows them to stand on their own 2 feet again. Feeling stressed out from all these things crashing down at once, Avery decides to go for a walk. While randomly wandering the streets, seeing where their travels take them, they stumble onto a cat cafe called A Cat's Paw. Personally, not a huge fan of the name, but it appears luck is on our side today as there's a sign on the window that reads, "Now hiring, inquire within." So, we do just that. Holy does the inside of this place look sick or what? Modern and futuristic, yet simple furniture, abstract art decor slapped around like dabs on a bingo card. Not gonna lie, if this were a real cafe, I'd want to check it out too. It's kind of the same feeling I got when I played Stardew Valley and saw Pelican Town, or to a lesser extent Traverse Town in Kingdom Hearts, places that are so warm, welcoming, and aesthetically beautiful. I look around and I'm just in awe of what I see. And I'm like, I wanna live here too, but sadly I live in a world that more resembles that of The Last of Us 2 rather than anything you'd actually want. First person to greet us is the lovably lanky Landry. He welcomes us in with an innocent, infectious personality with a genuine, sincere smile stretched across his whole face. Thinking we're a customer, he quickly begins to give us a rundown of what the establishment is all about, telling us all the cats in here are strays that are brought for proper care and to help become more sociable, with the end goal being that they get adopted and live in a loving home. Avery brings up the now hiring sign, to which Landry replies, "Did my explanation sell you that quick?" Where we can respond with either, "I'm really good with cats," or "You seem really fun to work with." Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that really old picture on the internet that's that edited picture of the kid with the Alf shirt on, but as far as what that edited picture says, my preferences are the complete opposite of his. So I think I'm gonna go with "I'm really good with cats," which could still very easily be taken out of context. Landry happily obliges our inquiry and says he'll quickly fetch the owner while whipping us up a fresh cup of coffee. Aw, what a like genuinely sweet guy, you know. Personally, I'm not much one for coffee. I'm not even really that big of a tea guy either, and if you've watched my videos even like semi-frequently, you know that I almost pretty much just exclusively drink water. But I'm sure happy I don't live in an anime world, because if I did, I'd have had 20 gallons of nosebleed come out of me by now. Who is this man? Graves. This is peak sex appeal. We can try to laugh it off and deny it, or we can accept reality as a matter of fact. Where do I begin? We got that Tom DeLonghair circa early 2000s Blink-182, which is still objectively like one of the cooler hairstyles someone can pull off, so that's cool to see. Look at those eyes, it's like a work of art. The duality and contrast of one icy blue iris and another shimmering gold iris only adds to the mystique and makes you wonder what exactly he perceives with those eyes. Something about those eyes, I don't know what it is, it's like he's staring into my soul. If there were ever a pair of eyes that'd stick in my brain forever, it'd be those. Heterochromia is what we're seeing here, no pun intended. From what numbers I could find online, between only 0.5 to 1% of the world's population is believed to have the condition, and I guess it goes to show because I've never seen any animal or person to ever have this condition in person. Just as so, because this isn't something I see highlighted or even put in media all that often. The only other time I've seen another instance of heterochromia is in a Season 1 Goosebumps episode of all things, titled My Hairiest Adventure, where one of the main characters, you guessed it, has heterochromia. Can't believe I'm referencing this in a game review of a dating sim. Graves' pop collar can't hide his long giraffe neck, and his loose, relaxed clothing ends up becoming more form-fitting because of his gangly body, only accentuates his towering Jack Skellington-esque build. The rings and necklace is e-boy before e-boy existed. It doesn't come off as forced or cringe though, which completely took me by surprise. Mainly because his looks aren't as over the top as they could be. Even the game says he looks like he should own a bookstore that insists it sells tomes, not books, and I couldn't agree anymore. He does emanate a bit of a daunting aura, if only because we're in the presence of such like actual legitimate coolness that it's making me like a smidge nervous, and I'm like triple thinking everything that I'm gonna say because I don't want, you know, the dictionary definition of cool here to think I'm lame, because if that happens then I'll just curl into a ball and cry myself to sleep. However, Graves isn't flawless. The only real clear downside is his personality. He's really eccentric and strange. He gives off this very strong vibe that he wants to be perceived as weird for the sake of weird. If during the first time I'm meeting you, for any reason whatsoever, you have to state, and I quote,
"Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold, and so, by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man,"
I'm probably not going to want to know you very well. He talks like a book that was written in the 1700s. He is our potential boss for the time being, so I'll humor him with his interesting wordplay. As quick as we entered the building, we now have our job interview. Not before being surprised with some coffee from the barista Hayes. Once again, visually, absolutely adore the character design here. Look how shy he is! He wouldn't hurt a fly. As a matter of fact, I think he'd be more worried about a fly hurting him. So timid and shy, the best attempt at direct eye contact he can give us is but a small glance that sneaks out of the corner of his eye. Rubbing his arm as an unintentional stress reliever and quickly but politely handing Graves and I our mugs before pulling his hood up as he speed walks back to his safe spot. This is by far the best thing that Hustlecat does, and we'll see this more frequently as the game moves along, but is making characters so easily understandable through really quality art and well-written dialogue. We're not even that far into the game, and I already have a firm grasp on how the characters I know I'm going to be bumping into frequently tick. Since Graves is an intentionally weird dude, I'm thinking I can be a bit more playful and experimental with the ways I interact with him. Hayes, on the other hand, might have to warm up to him a bit. Slowly work my way in and let him understand over time that he can trust talking to me at all, really. We then begin our interview with such important make or break questions like, what's your favorite breed of cat? Well, that's an obvious answer. Dog! Do you know any other languages or ciphers? What? What marine animal would you say best represents you? Well, that homemade Free Willy tattoo doesn't not mean anything, so gonna have to go with orca, obviously. On a scale from 1 to 10, rate me as an interviewer. Is this a trick question? Draculas or teenage wolves? You know what, Graves? I'm sick of these charades. I quit. We got the job, sweet. Wait, what am I doing exactly? Wow, what great direction. Super happy to proudly claim myself a part of this sinking ship. Before we head on out, we bump into Landry and give him the good news. He gives us a spirited congratulations and lets us know we'll meet the rest of the gang tomorrow. But hey, now we're employed, so let's paint the town red, which for me means up curling with a good book and a snuggly blanket. We've essentially finished the prologue of the game. Following this, we get a really fun intro set to some upbeat auto-tune pop music, showing some nice sweeping shots of our new workplace and our fellow co-workers / potential lovers. We've already met Landry, Graves, and Hayes, but now we get to see 3 more characters we'll eventually cross paths with, those being Finley, Reese, and Mason. This teaser video, which lasts for just under 2 minutes, is rolled out at the perfect time. We've just met some fresh faces who seemed kind and friendly and got hired at a really snazzy cool cat cafe. Things are looking on the up and up, but what do we expect from here? Who knows? A delicious appetizer for things to come that even Gordon Ramsay would like. This song is something else. It's so wild, so out there, and so unapologetically itself, I can't help but sit back and smile. This is auto-tune electronic cranked all the way up to 11. I said in my top 5 game soundtracks video that Hustlecat was up there with some of my favorites, and by all means it still is. I can't believe it took me this long to touch on the music of Hustlecat since it's been playing since we started the game, but it's just so freaking good. Don't be thrown off by me only touching on the pop song intro. There's more than what meets the ear. As far as the music department goes, Hustlecat is not a one-trick pony. Most of the music within Hustlecat is very moody, but in a good way. A ton of relaxing, ambient, down-tempo jams. If the dialogue is casual, the music is casual. If the dialogue turns to something a bit more strange, so does the music. The ability for the music to flow to the tone of the game like water flows into a cup is it's beautiful. Sam Neiland is the sole reason our ears are given such pleasant head boppers during our run of this game, but when doing research on him, I was a bit puzzled. As I mentioned earlier, Hustlecat was released in 2016, which is a while ago, but not so far back that it can be viewed old yet, at least for me. Information on him is so scarce. He does have an official website, which can be visited at samneiland.gay, and no, I'm not making that up. He did the music for one of Date Nighto's previous releases, Starfighter Eclipse. He also worked on a single track for the Homestuck series, which from what I can gauge is relatively popular, but it's so out of my realm of familiarity, I can't really comment on what his inclusion in the series meant. I'm bringing this up because outside of his work on video games, his discography is pretty sparse. Literally nothing on Spotify, so not much we can go off there. On Bandcamp, we have releases spanning from 2010 to 2013. And on SoundCloud, our most recent upload is 8 years ago. I'm just completely stumped on how Sam is somewhat active with creating music for games, but almost non-existent when it comes to his own musical endeavors. I'm sure time and money may be a big reason, but even then I'm still speculating. Not to mention none of his personal music resembles anything found in Hustlecat. Checking the songs out, I can hear some vague similarities between the two, particularly with the songs that have vocals, but damn. The soundtrack to Hustlecat is so good, and as far as gaming goes, one of my favorites, period. It really is that good. Well done, 10 out of 10. As we make our way back home, we stumble onto a small little kitty cat. This cat looks badass though. Check it out, he has one blue eye and one gold eye. Something about those eyes. If there were ever a pair of eyes that stick in my brain forever, it'd be those. When I saw this the first time, my mind was completely blown. Even now, all this time later, I can't properly articulate how blown away I was. I can't remember the last time a game mind-f***ed me so hard like Hustlecat did at this exact moment. This bit right here is so crucial to Hustlecat because of so many things. The severity of the situation is heightened to a peak that it can't climb higher than, and it's told so nonchalant it's insane. It'd be like your girlfriend telling you they found out they're pregnant via messenger pigeon. They don't flat out tell you what's going on here, but you know. Oh, you know. In the matter of literally one realization, we have two new massive game changers thrown directly into our face. That being direction and perspective. How many times in other games or even movies have you seen the classic twist ending? It's a shtick as old as time itself. I'm sure you've been left dumbfounded by a few yourself. BioShock and Portal are two that stick out in my mind. Not only are those damn good games, they backhanded you with a 180 turnaround endings that seemingly came out of nowhere. I'm sorry for potentially ruining multiple decade-old spoilers for you. The same concept is present here in Hustlecat, but instead of the twist happening at the end, it happens near the beginning. Not only is the fact that we have a twist beginning at the start of the game crazy enough in and of itself, we have the insane perspective of us knowing the twist, but not the character we control. Our IQ is higher than 62, so we know the jig is up. Avery, on the other hand, is proving to be quite the dunce. They're just like, oh, there's a cat, look, a cat, that just keeps walking along like nothing happened. What a clueless goob. So fair warning, now I'm going to talk about some pretty big spoilers here, like experience ruining spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled on what the overall plot is of Hustlecat, then click the time on the screen to watch the rest of this video completely spoiler free. Still here, huh? Dare to be different, I like you. These next few unfolding events roll out rather fast and blossom out the overall plot of Hustlecat. Of course, we return to work the next day, greeting some familiar faces and meeting some new ones. A day of work is a day of work, not much to be said in the way of that. It's when we close shop where the beans finally spill. Everyone's a cat. Each and every one of them's a cat. Unsurprisingly, Avery thinks they're living some sort of fever dream and decides to head on home and go to bed. When waking up the next day, they find they have a whisker sprouting out of their face. A whisker emerging out of their face. My biggest fears come to life. I'm undeniably, I'm regretfully a furry. I guess I was gonna be one either way though, right? It's so easy to forget that this game is a dating sim after all. I mean, I've been talking about the characters and story for this long, and I have yet to be hit on. What gives? Turns out we're not being experimented on by some furry-obsessed cult, but that everyone else here was helplessly dragged into this situation. With this curse, if you will, only happening once they began working here. Well, thanks for the heads up, gang. How nice of you. I guess that's kind of the point though, right? I mean, how are you supposed to find future coworkers if you just tell them off the bat, hey, once you start working here, you're gonna anamorph into a cat in about a day or so. You don't believe me? Okay, here, watch this. Yeah, this happens from time to time. It kind of sucks, but what you gonna do? We're filled in that everyone working here is actively trying to figure out what's going on and if they can do anything about it. Aside from it being this looming cloud of bullshit that won't go away, there isn't anything else they know about it, like literally nothing. Through uncovering the mystery and meaning behind this cat problem, we're able to be around our coworkers for more than a normal period of time, thus getting to know them better and undoubtedly growing some emotional attachments to them as well. Since I'm done talking about the big spoilers now, I think we can greet those chickens who wussied back out earlier into the rest of the video where we are now. So let's give them a warm welcome, shall we? Oh hey, fancy seeing you here. Now that we got that pesky plot out of the way, I guess now we can go ahead and talk about the gameplay that Hustlecat has to offer. Now that we're past the opening, finally we can figure out more of this Scooby-Doo mystery we find ourselves in with our new friends. This is where the dating portion of the game doesn't really fall on its face, but kinda awkwardly stumbles around. When I think of dating sims, I think of stuff, I'm about to out myself as a true degenerate here. I think of stuff like, you know, Crush, Honey Pop, Just Deserts, Dream Daddy, Monster Prom, Mirror, you know, just games like that. In these games, you slowly learn about, understand, and romance a direct, specifically chosen person or people over time. You talk, you hang out, you get them gifts, maybe some sort of mini game here and there, go on a date, become closer to them, and eventually, well, you know how these things go. It's a very long, stretched, formulaic way of getting through these games. It's almost a set-in-stone rule set by this point for games of this genre, with the feeling of progression being you getting more intimate with that person inch by inch. In Hustle Cat, we don't have this luxury of making our own choices to pick and choose who we want to talk to. Instead, it's played out almost like a choose-your-own-adventure book. Rather, we read some lines of dialogue, eventually reach a point where the game asks us for our input, we put in the input, and move on and see what unfolds from there on. It's a double-edged sword. It's both good and bad. It's good because it lets the most natural, authentic events unfold that would be true based on your own genuine reactions. It's bad because you can't be like, oh, she's bad, she's the one I want to talk to and go out with. Doesn't work like that. It's not a bad way of getting to know characters, but I would say that it's a bit clumsily executed though. Like, I'm forced to get closer to whatever character the game wants me to. I'm at its mercy. I'd compare it to being in some sort of Dead Rising or Dawn of the Dead type of situation. Locked in a mall with a bunch of zombies hobbling around, stuck in one safe space with a bunch of people you know little to nothing about. It's an uncomfortable interaction based off awkward, forced conversation that eventually turns natural because of repetition and frequency. Even if you're only going to choose the options that you think will set you up with a specific character, you can still easily get matched up with someone else. That's how unpredictable this game is, especially in comparison to the other dating sims I mentioned not long ago. This is the only thing I see being any sort of legitimate turnoff for anyone playing this game, is not being able to directly choose who they mingle with, how they want, when they want, where they want. You can try your damnedest to try and be with the love of your life, only to get paired with the world's biggest What hurts Hustle Cat is also what saves it though, weirdly enough. Even though specific choices pair you with specific characters, every character is an absolute blast to be around. Landry, Graves, and Hayes are all fun to be around because they have very distinct personality traits that shine through with their character design, body language, and dialogue. The other three characters are treated with equal amounts of care and love. Out of the three, I definitely like Mason the most. The first real ending I got was with her. She has the confrontational, hard-headed demeanor that's built up like a multi-layer, impenetrable, bulletproof glass dungeon of doom. Kevin Sullivan Dungeon of Doom. Even though she's outwardly very stuck up and even hostile at some points, she's never actually mean. She's just very protective of herself and the people she surrounds herself with. She's got to trust you enough for you to even be something she considers spending her time on, but once you cross that threshold, you'll come to see she's just as kind and sweet as any other good friend. She'd kill you if you ever told anyone that, though. Finley is Finley. She's the sweetest character in the game, but also the most chaotic. It always feels like she's doing 20 million things at once. She has the energy of someone who's down 5 monsters, 5 Red Bulls, and 5-hour energies with no sign of slowing down. She's so peppy, she makes peppers taste like ice cubes. You ever been around someone so happy and cheerful that their energy makes you exhausted? That's exactly what Finley is like. If something is going on completely unrelated to her, she'll find a way to wedge herself into the situation and make herself the center of attention, whether you like it or not. Even though I find her personality to be extremely all over the place and wild, she means no harm. It's just how she's wired. She means well. I hate Reese so much. Like, I can't find one reason to even like Reese outside of him having a really decent fashion sense. Like a cooler than normal fashion sense. He's just a dick. He's the assistant manager, which essentially makes him Graves' stand-in when he's busy or out and about or whatever. He never uses this petition to throw his weight around necessarily, but instead position himself in a way where he can stubbornly do whatever he wants and get away with it because he's technically our leader. I hate saying that. We can always rip on Reach for being short as hell though. I mean, he really has no say on the matter in that. And constantly reminding him that in a 4 versus 1 say, we'll always win. And he can't do anything about it, which is really fun to see. I think it's safe to say that everyone watching this video at some point has worked with someone like Reese in the workplace, so being able to gang up on him with the homies and, you know, not really being malicious, but just kind of teaming up on him is pretty fun to do without being punished by any real world authority. Regardless if you love them or hate them, each and every single person here is well written and interesting to talk to. Different people will naturally gravitate towards different characters, that much can be said, but even if it's someone you have no interest in wanting to be with, you'll still have an interesting time watching these scenarios unfold. We all have people in our lives who we can relate to the characters within HustleCat, characters that have their most distinct personality traits as their main selling points to either interest or reject you from investing yourself emotionally with these characters. That combined with the beautiful, expressive art that complements this game as well as I'm complimenting it, makes HustleCat one of the most well-written, naturally stimulating, excellently orchestrated dating sims I've ever played in my life. There's a ton of different endings with different people, some good, some bad, and some kind of left in limbo. As for what happens with each person, I'm going to allow you to go ahead and discover that on your own, because that is the true magic of HustleCat that has to be experienced firsthand. I did have to spoil the part about turning into a cat. How do you talk about the game about turning into a cat without talking about turning into a cat? Easier said than done, that's for sure. How much playtime you get out of HustleCat is all depending on how many endings you want to see. My first time playing HustleCat before recording for this video, I played enough to get 3 endings, which took me around 4.5 hours. However, if you're like me and really want to get wrapped up in the story and personality of these characters and want to see each and every outcome, you can easily get double-digit hours worth of time out of this game, no doubt. There isn't anything I dislike about HustleCat, everything here is awesome. Sure, the structure of how the story progresses doesn't give you total freedom and control to mingle with who you want, but whatever the outcome is, it's still a damn fun time. The only thing truly bad is the morality of the situation. Being held hostage and turned into a cat against my will isn't on the top of my list of things I want happening in my life. This is the worst time in history to give me another reason to hate cat-human hybrids. These are trying times, and I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. And quite frankly, I don't think I'll ever be able to look at a cat the same way ever again.